love municipal bonds. Municipal bonds are really fun. Fun, 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 fun. Municipal bonds confidential.
Hello and greetings to all of you who want to invest your money. Or, even more important, you need to invest your money. Or perhaps you just want to learn the confidential truth about municipal bonds. Or learn something about public finance. Or learn something about state and local government. Municipal bonds are a well-known investment product. In brief, they are negotiable fixed income or debt securities issued by state and local governments and all their political subdivisions. In general, municipal bonds are perhaps best known for the tax-exempt status of their interest income. And traditionally they have been considered a safe and secure investment because the state and local government that issued them paid back the interest and principal. But that is tradition. Things have changed. U.S. public finance has changed. The Muni Markets have changed. I hate to tell you this, but there are municipal bonds out there that are not really municipal bonds. Be forewarned. One example of a municipal bond that is not really a municipal bond is one that is backed only by a pledge by the state or local government to maybe include the interest and principal payments in their annual budget. Generally, these are referred to as appropriation bonds. They can also be called certificates of participation and all sorts of Wall Street PR names. Their official name might sound like a state or a county or a city, but they are not backed by a general obligation nor a full faith and credit nor taxing power guarantee. There is no dedicated tax or dedicated revenue source that backs the interest and principal payments. So they are not a general obligation municipal bond. And because there is not really a revenue source that pays back the interest and principal, it is not really fair to refer to them as revenue bonds. The only thing backing these types of municipal bonds is the supposed promise that the applicable state or local elected or appointed officials include it in their ongoing annual budget. The funds need to be appropriated. Most commonly on an annual and ongoing basis. The funds need to be approved to pay you your interest payments and principal. What is worse is that if a governor or mayor decides not to appropriate funding for your specific municipal bonds, the state or city would not really be in default or even a technical bankruptcy. The only thing in default or technical bankruptcy would be your specific municipal bonds. You should also know that the Muni Markets are stock full of appropriation bonds. If you own municipal bonds, you should check your portfolio because you probably own some. Ask your brokers about appropriation bonds. And ask them what happens when this type of bond is not included in the annual budget. Tell them Captain Municipal Bonds told you to ask. And you should ask because these types of bonds have a realistic downside. Here is a perspective you should consider. Traditionally, the simple way to feel great about the safety and security of municipal bonds was to think that you loaned your money to not just one person but to the thousands and even millions of people who live in that city or state. Those thousands and millions of residents pay taxes and fees, and so on, that ultimately pay you your interest payments and pay back your principal. However, in the new age of government spending and budget deficits, municipal defaults and bankruptcies, thinking about the population and demographics of a state or city may not be enough or even to the point. Tax and revenue numbers are there. The question that must now be asked is how tax and revenue is being spent. Or overspent. And who is in charge of that spending? Who is in charge of the budget? So, to consider the safety and security of municipal bonds, you now must really look at who the specific state and local government leaders are. They control public budgets, and they ultimately decide if municipal bond holders are paid back. Legally they could say, no. Not including that municipal bonds debt service in this year's budget. Not appropriating funds. Not approving funds. Not paying interest or principal payments to bond holders. Take for example Chicago, Illinois and its mayor Lori Lightfoot. I do not necessarily want to pick on Chicago or Lori Lightfoot, but it is not unreasonable. Chicago has 2.75 million people. They pay taxes and fees. But Chicago is in an ongoing financial deficit. What is Lori Lightfoot all about? Is she a budget person? Is that her priority? More importantly, would she implement austerity and cut spending? Or would she choose to not pay bondholders their interest income or principal payments? Another example would be Portland, Oregon and its mayor Ted Wheeler. Portland has more than 650,000 residents. But do they matter as much as Mayor Ted Wheeler? If you invested in Portland by buying any of its municipal bonds, that are in truth appropriation bonds, do you trust Ted Wheeler to make good your retirement nest egg and pay you back your interest income and principal? Ask your brokers these questions and see what they have to say. Again, tell them Captain Municipal Bonds says hello. Another question to ask is, what if Lori Lightfoot and Ted Wheeler had children, what would they look like? Here is one. Oh boy. And here is the other. Oh boy.
I love municipal bonds. Municipal bonds are really fun. Fun, 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 fun. Municipal bonds, Confidential.